My name is Angela Tone. What brought me to Father Joe's Villages? My husband, actually. We lost our apartment.
Were you ever out on the street?
Yeah, the last 2 months of my being homeless, yeah.
What was that like?
Scary. I slept on the library. You know, there was people there, but you really don't know the people that you're around. And my husband kept saying, just come. And my pride, because I had worked here, I didn't want to come stay here. He's a vet, so we live in different buildings.
Is that hard?
Yes, but I see him every day. People adapt. No matter where you put a person, they will learn to live, you know? Do you want to live in a shelter forever, or do you want to move from shelter to shelter, or do you want to grow up and get your own place?
Angelette Tone has got a great chance of making it through this transitional housing program. She's got a solid resume and a solid set of coping skills. But that's also why some critics of transitional housing say temporary housing isn't the right tool for someone like Tone and her husband.
I don't need to prove to you that I can be a stable and worthy individual. I lost my job, and therefore I lost my housing. That person should be put right back into housing with some help finding a new job.
Lasar says that's the power of Housing First, providing the dignity that comes with a room of one's own, and then backing that up with social services. That is why Lasar has brought the campaign for Housing First to San Diego, but she says implementing it across the board is slow going.
We're in the lobby of the Joan Kroc Center, and really for a lot of people who access our services, this is where it all begins.
Ruth Bruland is the executive director of Father Joe's Villages. She's showing me around the iconic campus that blazed a trail to help the homeless. She shows me the lunchrooms that provide meals for the hungry, the health clinic that treats the sick. Bruland admits people don't always graduate from their transitional housing programs on the first go-round.
I was taught that the average number of times it takes somebody to go through treatment for it to take was 7. So the 7th time on average somebody would become clean and sober. That statistic is still the same. And so for us, with our population and some of the major changes that we're asking people to do, it's not going to happen the first time.
Bruland says she isn't opposed to Housing First, especially for the chronically homeless. But she worries this new push towards Housing First means throwing out the baby with the bathwater.
Some people need that housing first, but that transitional housing, it's not a dirty word.
Bruland tells a story about a guy who finally got the key to his house after moving through Father Joe's Villages for years.
He couldn't hold a job because he had undiagnosed autism, and so he had spent 30 years on the street. And so, but finally, because of the services that now we are sophisticated enough that we can provide, he got a key to his apartment. And so you can say, they keep coming back, or you can say, thank God they keep coming back, because we are going to figure it out. They can't stay on the street. Sorry.
But is that the kind of person who now, in this day and age, Housing First could help somebody?
It would depend on the kind of housing. If you were able, well, no. Okay. I mean, you have to have a place. I want to support Housing First, but here's how it works. After we found out that we determined he had autism, which wasn't, I mean, it was an assessment process he had to go through. Is he going to stay on the street while we do this assessment process?
But Housing First advocates say their model would have put this man into his own home long before his autism was even diagnosed and prevented him from cycling through the system for years.
And so transitional housing was thought for a long time to be the right intervention. And in San Diego, we have about 3,500 transitional housing units. And so it's how do we turn this boat, this massive boat, to move to a new system, and we're struggling with that here.
To turn that boat, Lasar says, San Diego homeless advocates won't just have to change their ideology. They'll have to change a large transitional housing infrastructure. But Lasar says it seems more and more that the political will for that change is growing across the country and even here at home. What's it going to feel like when you have a place?
Me, first thing I'm doing is I'm cooking something. I love to cook, so, you know, yeah. It's going to be good. It's going to be good.